Okay, so I want you to picture this. You're a world-famous actor. You're in South Africa, totally off the grid, driving down this empty stretch of road,
Hmm.
and then, bang, you get a flat tire. So you pull over, you're about to fix it, and before you even get the jack out, you're
Oh,
surrounded.
wow.
6 armed men, they drag you from the car, they tie you up, and they're literally wrestling you into the trunk of their car.
That's it. That's the kind of situation where most people's brains just, shut down. Your amygdala takes over. You either freeze up or you fight back.
Which is a suicide mission against 6 guys with guns.
Exactly.
But this really happened to Benedict Cumberbatch. And he didn't freeze. He did something that sounds insane. He started talking.
In that situation.
In that situation, he looks them in the eye, starts hyperventilating, and claims he has a bad heart condition. He tells them, if you put me in that trunk, I'll die from the panic. And then he hits them with the logic. He argues that a dead hostage is worthless, but a dead him, a dead Benedict Cumberbatch. That brings down the entire British government on their heads.
Wow. So he completely pivoted the power dynamic. He took a situation with zero leverage and made his survival their problem.
And it worked. They just dropped him off in a village unharmed and took off. He literally acted for his life.
That's incredible.
And it's the perfect way into what we're digging into today. We are doing a deep dive into The Art of Psychological Warfare by Michael T. Stevens.
Right. And when you hear that title, psychological warfare, I think most people imagine, propaganda leaflets being dropped from bombers.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But that's not what this is about, is it?
Not at all. Stevens uses the term much more broadly. For him, it's a set of skills for, influence and survival in just everyday life.
Yeah.
It's basically a manual on how to hack the human brain.
Which is, it's fascinating, but it's also a little terrifying. It kind of implies we're all walking around with these open ports just waiting for someone to plug in.
We are. And that's the author's whole justification for the book. He calls it social engineering. And he argues that, you can't defend yourself against a weapon you don't understand.
You have to know how the car is hot-wired to install the right alarm.
Precisely.
So our mission today is to sort of run a diagnostic. We're going to walk through these tools from the Jedi mind tricks of reading people.
All the way to the genuinely dark arts of interrogation. But the goal is to be able to spot them when they're being used on us.
Defense, not offense.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And it all starts with the foundation. You can't influence someone until you can actually read them.
Right. And the book makes this comparison I really liked. It's this: we should watch people like we watch dogs.
It sounds a little demeaning, but it's a very sharp analogy.
It is.
Think about it. If you watch a dog, or even an old cartoon like Tom and Jerry with the sound off, there's no dialogue, but you know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, a happy dog bounces, an aggressive dog goes stiff.
Exactly. Stevens argues humans are just as expressive, but we have a flaw. We listen too much. We're so focused on the words people are saying, which can be lies, that we ignore the video feed, which is usually telling the truth.
So if we mute the audio, what are the big tells we're looking for?
Well, there are tons of microsignals, but he highlights a few big ones. Adjusting glasses, for instance.
That's not just to see better.
Not usually. It's a subconscious way to reframe what you're seeing. It often signals skepticism or rubbing the back of the neck.
The classic I'm stressed move.
Right. It's a self-soothing gesture. It stimulates the vagus nerve. So if someone does that while telling you a story, their body is basically screaming, I'm uncomfortable. Or maybe even, I am lying right now.
Okay, so that's discomfort. What about the opposite? What about confidence? The book talks about the Captain Morgan pose.
Ah, yes. The guy on the rum bottle.
Leg up, chest out, hard to miss.
It's pure territoriality. It's a dominance display. In the animal kingdom, making yourself bigger is a sign of victory or aggression. If you see someone in a meeting doing that, they're subconsciously telling you, I own this room.
I'm going to be looking for that everywhere now. But
Yeah.
Okay, that's the passive side. The book gets into something much more active called cold reading.
Yeah, this is what stage psychics use.
Is it just a trick?
It is, but it's a brilliant one that exploits how our brains work. It relies on you doing all the work. Stevens breaks down the script. So imagine a psychic in a room with, say, 900 people. He asks, who is Betty?
In a room that big, someone's going to know a Betty. It's a statistical certainty.
Exactly. A hand goes up. Now, the psychic uses these really vague prompts. I see a father figure. some distance maybe, or
Yeah.
I'm seeing the color red.
And the person in the audience immediately connects the dots. My dad had a red car, and we had a fight before he died.
Right. But the psychic just said red. Your brain is a pattern matching machine, so it filled in the blanks. And this all ties into something called the Barnum effect.
That's P.T. Barnum, right?
The very same. The Barnum effect is our tendency to accept vague, general personality descriptions as being uniquely applicable to ourselves.
This is horoscopes. This is 100% how horoscopes work.
It's exactly how they work. The book gives a sample reading, something like, you have a need to be well-liked, but you can be critical of yourself.
I mean, yeah, that feels like me.
You have a great deal of unused capacity, which you have not turned to your advantage.
Okay, stop. That's me. That is definitely me.
And that's the trap. It sounds like you, it sounds like me, it sounds like everyone listening. But because our ego is at the center of our universe, we think, wow, this person really gets me.
So that's the vague psychological approach. But the book also talks about something more concrete, the Sherlock scan.
Yes, this is pure deduction. You're scanning for socioeconomic clues, the shoes, the watch, the state of their hands.
But not just to judge them.
No, not at all. The key is to identify their values. A person in a crisp suit and polished shoes probably values structure, presentation. Someone with calloused hands and a rugged watch values utility, hard work.
So you're looking at what they prioritize.
Exactly. And once you know what they prioritize, you know how to talk to them. You use their language to build trust.
Okay, so we've read the person. Now, how do we influence them? The book gets into NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. I'll be honest, I've always been a little skeptical of this.
And there's a lot of hype around it, for sure. But the core idea is sound. Words and gestures can shape our brain chemistry.
So when the book lists power words like free, new, proven, love, those actually do something.
Oh yeah, they trigger little dopamine hits. They bypass the logical part of our brain and go straight to the reward center. It's why every clickbait headline is some version of discover a new, proven way to find love for free.
It's like a pinball machine for the brain.
It is. But a more subtle NLP technique mentioned is mirroring.
Copying someone's body language.
Subtly, yes. If they lean back, you lean back a moment later. If they speak slowly, you match their tempo. It works because of mirror neurons. Our primitive brain sees someone acting like us and thinks, they're part of my tribe, they're safe.
You create a biological connection.
You do. And once you're in sync, you can start to lead them. But sometimes the best way to lead someone is to tell them they can't follow you.
Reverse psychology, the forbidden fruit. This was my favorite part of the research, the potato story.
It's such a great story. So, 18th century France, nobody wanted potatoes. They thought they were dirty, maybe even caused leprosy.
Right.
But this agronomist, Parmentier, knew they could end the famine. But he couldn't convince anyone to eat them. Giving them away, the peasants thought, if the king's men are guarding it, it must be valuable. So they stole them, they ate them, and potatoes became a staple.
It's the same principle as the Streisand effect.
Yeah, it is. Barbara Streisand tries to hide photos of her house, and suddenly everyone wants to see them. Tell the human brain no, and it becomes obsessed.
Okay, so that's influencing desire. What about physical access? Getting into places you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
The book calls this social engineering, and it mentions the clipboard of authority.
This is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It relies on what's called the somebody else's problem field.
Right.
The book claims that if you walk with purpose, wearing a hard hat, or just holding a clipboard, you can get into almost any secure building.
Because nobody wants the awkwardness of stopping you.
Precisely. They assume you must belong there. They outsource the job of checking your credentials to, well, somebody else.
There is that incredible example from 1971. The Citizens Commission broke into an FBI office with a note.
Yeah. They just left a note on the door for the night watchman that said, please don't lock this door tonight.
And he didn't.
He just didn't. He saw a written instruction and obeyed. We are conditioned to follow signs. It's a compliance trigger. There's a famous study with a Xerox machine.
Oh, the cutting in line one.
That's it. If you ask, can I cut in line? Maybe 60% of people say yes. But if you ask, can I cut in line because I have to make copies? Compliance shoots up to over 90%.
Even though I have to make copies is the reason everyone is in that line. It's a meaningless reason.
It doesn't matter. The word because signals a justification is coming, and our lazy brains just accept it without really analyzing it.
Wow. Okay, so those are some of the later hacks. I want to shift now. The book gets into what it calls the dark arts. This is high-stakes stuff, like the Reed technique for police interrogations.
Right, this is where it gets very systematic. The Reed technique is designed purely to get a confession, often by manipulating a suspect's entire sense of reality.
The first step, theme development, really surprised me. The police actually minimized the crime.
It seems so counterintuitive. You'd think they'd come in yelling. But no, the interrogator acts like your friend. They'll say things like, look, we know you didn't mean for this to happen. You were under so much pressure, anyone would have snapped.
They're giving you a moral excuse, a way out.
Exactly. They reduce the shame of the act. Because if you feel like a monster, you shut down. But if you feel like a victim of circumstance, you talk.
And then comes the real trap, the presentation of alternative.
This is a nasty psychological double-bind. The interrogator gives you two choices. For example, did you plan this for once, or did it just happen in a moment of passion?
But both of those choices mean you did it.
Correct. But one choice lets you save face. The suspect grabs for the lesser evil. They admit it was a crime of passion, but legally. They've just confessed. The police don't care about the why, they just need the what.
That's terrifyingly effective. And speaking of manipulation, the book jumps from the interrogation room straight to the internet. It calls it internet warfare.
Which is the battlefield we're all on every single day.
Yeah.
The book talks about astroturfing, creating fake grassroots support for an agenda.
Yeah, and the source mentions a leaked document from a political campaign outlining specific tactics. Topic dilution was one.
Oh, topic dilution is everywhere now. If a discussion is going against your side, you don't argue the point. You just flood the conversation with noise, post memes, bring up old scandals, talk about anything else.
You just jam the signal.
You jam the signal until the original point is completely lost. And then there's anger trolling. The goal isn't to win. It's just to make the other person so frustrated and disgusted that they give up and leave.
Oh, war of attrition. I feel like I see that in every comment section I've ever read.
You do. It is absolutely intentional.
Okay, so let's talk about what the book calls the ultimate mind game, the Kansas City Shuffle.
Right. So the Kansas City Shuffle is a misdirection con, where the target knows they're in a con. They're on high alert.
They're looking for the trick.
Exactly. And the con artist uses that suspicion against them. They show you a very obvious trap on your left, so you cleverly run to the right.
Which is where the real trap was waiting the whole time.
The perfect historical example is D-Day. Hitler knew the Allies were going to invade, so the Allies built this massive fake army with inflatable tanks and everything to make it look like the attack was coming at Calais.
So Hitler, thinking he'd figured it out, moved his best divisions to Calais.
He thought he'd spotted the play. And then the real invasion landed at Normandy. The victim is tripped up by his own cleverness.
But there's an even darker form of this, right? Gaslighting.
Yes, gaslighting is.
Yeah.
It isn't just lying. It's a systematic campaign to make a victim doubt their own memory, their own perception, their own sanity.
It's moving someone's keys and then swearing you never touched them. It's telling them that never happened when they know it did.
And the book points to the Asch conformity experiment to show why this is so effective.
That's the one with the lines on the cards.
Right. You have one real subject in a room full of actors. You show them a line and ask them to match it to one of three other lines. The correct answer is obvious, but one by one, all the actors confidently give the wrong answer.
And the test subject just goes along with it.
A shocking number of them do. They will deny the evidence of their own eyes because the social pressure to conform is so powerful. That is the core of gaslighting. Who are you going to believe? Me and the rest of the world, or your own lying eyes?
That's so unsettling. It really suggests our sense of reality it's fragile.
It's very fragile.
So we've gone from reading body language to literally breaking someone's reality. This is a heavy, heavy toolkit.
It is.
And yet the book ends on a surprisingly positive note. After all this, what does Stephen say is the ultimate form of psychological domination?
It's almost funny, really. After chapters on interrogation and manipulation, he concludes that the most powerful tool of all is just being likable.
Just being a good person.
Yeah. Smiling, listening, using someone's name. It sounds like something out of Dale Carnegie, but it's the ultimate hack. If people genuinely like you, they lower their defenses. They want to help you.
So you don't need to trick them into eating the potatoes.
They'll offer to cook them for you.
And that's really the moral of the story here. You learn how these dark arts work, not so you can use them, but so you can see them coming.
Defense, not offense.
Exactly. Before we wrap up, there was one last idea I really wanted to leave everyone with. The book's take on gut instinct.
Ah, yes. This is so important. We're always told to be logical, to rely on data. But Stevens argues you should never ever ignore your gut feeling.
But isn't your gut just emotion? Irrational.
No. And this is the key. Your gut is your subconscious brain processing millions of bits of data, microexpressions, tonal shifts, environmental cues, faster than your conscious mind can keep up.
So when you walk into a room and just get a bad feeling.
That's not magic. That's your brain's supercomputer having already done a full Sherlock scan and slammed the big red emergency button. Your conscious mind is still booting up, but your gut already knows there's a threat.
So if something feels wrong, it probably is.
Trust that algorithm. It's had millions of years of evolutionary beta testing to keep you alive.
I love that. Trust your gut, watch out for the Captain Morgan pose, and maybe be a little suspicious of any heavily guarded potatoes.
Always check the potatoes.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive into the art of psychological warfare. Stay sharp out there.
Stay safe.